All right, many thanks, Oyemi Ajayi, for that background report. And we already have our guests seated. So let me begin by introducing, first here in the studio, Professor Salisu Shehu, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Thank you for having me.
Let me also introduce Dr. Philip Hayab, who is an educationist. We thank you very much for coming, as always.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
And we also have seated here in the studio Mrs. Olushola Bankole, Director, the Bankers Private School here in Abuja.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you so much. And good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. Mr. Victor?
All right.
The Zoom is now.
Our Zoom guest isn't set.
Yes.
Okay, let's begin here in the studio. Let me start with the NERDC. What precise gaps did we find in the previous curriculum that this new one has come to fill? What makes it different from where we are coming from?
Well, thank you, Mr. Victor, if I can get the name correctly. Actually, the essential focus of the present curriculum is about developing competencies and outcomes in learning. So the most important gap that can be said to be filled is that while the previous curriculum could be said to be, in a way, teacher-centered, this one is essentially student-centered. Student-centered in the sense that it is based on developing competencies, as I said earlier, and it is outcome-based. And it is also geared towards inculcating in the children critical thinking, orientation, creative thinking and innovation, and problem-solving orientation. And this is because of the fact that the world today, more than ever before, has become much more complex, much more competitive, and children need to be equipped with mastery of learning and application. They need to master what they learn, and they need to know how to apply their learning in real-life situations. So I think the most essential gap here is that, you see, this curriculum is formulated in such a way that learning in the classroom is directly linked to real-life situation outside. Because if learning would only be restricted to the classroom, it wouldn't be functional. And the student would not be able to relate well with the real-world situation. And therefore, this is why, in tune with global best practices, the present curriculum is essentially focused on developing competencies in children, and it is outcome-based. So learners are not supposed to be passive learners in the classroom, but they're supposed to be active learners. They learn most essentially by doing and by application of their learning skills into real-life situation.
Okay, into real-life situation. We hear that the initial rollout was, delayed. And can you tell us what specific steps have been taken to ensure readiness for the rollout of this new curriculum in schools?
Well, actually, you see, perhaps I need to briefly...
Yes, break it down for us to understand it better.
Yeah, I need to briefly state the process that brought about the curriculum. The NERDC, as the primary, the agency that is primarily mandated to develop curriculum for the Nigerian education system at the basic education level and at the secondary school education level, does it through a kind of robust and broad-based stakeholder engagement. So we don't just sit down in a room and just write down the curriculum, but we partake in stakeholder engagement, engaging and consulting educationists and education practitioners at different levels and in different dimensions in the country. You talk about engaging parents, you talk about engaging school owners and school proprietors, teachers most essentially, and educationists. You talk about engaging even with authors that write books for our schools. So it is a kind of robust kind of consultative process that involves each and every person that is directly or even indirectly linked to the educational enterprise. So these processes were all done, and that is why it has taken more than 2 years to to complete the review of the basic education curriculum, and afterwards the development of the teacher's guide. So you can see one of the things that delayed the rollout of the curriculum is that the curriculum, the basic education curriculum, was developed and it was even approved by the National Council on Education since last year. But then the teacher's guide was not developed, and you cannot just release the curriculum without developing the teacher's guide. We finished the developing of the teacher's guide this year. And again, as you would be aware, everything could always be subjected to some reviews at certain levels. So before the final rollout, there are some observations that are not necessarily fundamental, but are critical that were made. So we had to sit down and streamline further.
What were these observations?
Yeah, I think essentially it is about the subject lots. Okay. It is about the subject lots. So we had to sit down and further reduce the subject load to what it has turned out to be now, which is in the public domain. So these are some of the processes and the steps that we went through to the level of rolling out the curriculum.
Did you introduce new subjects? Are there new subjects? Are there subjects that you are phasing out, and why?
Yeah, of course. You see, we are producing the curriculum. We're conscious of the fact that we are producing the curriculum today for the 21st century world. And you can say also the 21st century children. Or to be more specific, we're producing a curriculum for the so-called Gen Alphas, not the millennials, not even the Gen Zs. Now it is the Gen Alphas that have been born with the smartphones. They are digital natives. They share nativity with these devices. That is why you would buy a sophisticated phone as a professor, for example, but your 7-year-old child or 5-year-old child may operate it even better for you. So we are very conscious of the fact that this curriculum, you see, is being produced for this kind of children. And just about 2 years now, the world has come to be invaded by the so-called artificial intelligence. So you would see the process started actually somewhere early 2023 when the AI wasn't so much the talk of the town. But before it was even concluded, AI has already invaded the world. Now, taking all these factors into consideration, now we had to factor in a number of things. In the first instance, we need to make sure that, you see, innovative learning, and especially aligned with digital literacy, is embedded in not just the learning of digital technologies, as it were, but almost in the learning of every subject. This has to be, and this is based on the fact that, again, you see, you have to be conscious about interdisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity in the world today. How subjects are networked, and how learning in one subject may still be applicable in learning another subject. So you see, these are some of the things, the new ideas that have been injected in the curriculum, and therefore we have introduced, for example, digital literacy, and these are called digital technologies because it is a kind of broad-based thinking, involving not just one tool, as it were, but a number of digital tools that children would need to learn today. This is very essential. And then some other thing that has been introduced, very important one for that matter, is citizenship and heritage education. Nigerian history has was approved, was brought back to the curriculum a long time ago, isn't it? This history subject runs through from primary 1 up to JSS 3, and we call it Nigerian history, to tell Nigerians right from the word go that this history is Nigeria focused. It's not just about history of any other part of the world, but it is Nigeria focused, such that even when you are talking about colonialism, for example, you would be talking about Nigerian experience with colonialism. What was Nigerian history before colonialism? What was Nigerian history during colonialism? What is Nigerian history after colonialism? So the history is essentially Nigeria focused. But then heritage, citizenship and heritage education, as it were, is a combination of elements of civic education, how to orient the children to be good citizens in the country, to imbibe civic, habits and civic tendencies that are attuned to national integration, national cohesion and national harmony, and patriotism and nationalism and all sort of that, and so on and so forth. And then the aspect of heritage is some elements of history. And this is more essential with regards to students even at the higher level, and who may not necessarily be art-based students, but would need to have some element of the knowledge of Nigerian history, even if they were offering sciences, or even if they were technical students, as the case may be, or business students. So you can see these are some of the new things that have been, injected in the curriculum, not to talk about some other new ideas that have been, infused into each subject of the curriculum. New ideas have been, integrated into the curriculum. And it is because we are more focused on curriculum enrichment rather than curriculum overload. Okay?
Okay, we'll pause you there.
Thank you so much.
Let me introduce our guest that is... Okay, I hear he's not ready. Okay, let's come back here to the studio to Dr. Philip Hayap, educationist. And I'm sure you've been going around, training and retraining of teachers now. And how have teachers been adequately trained to deliver the new skills and streamline the curriculum in line with what the Federal Ministry of Education wants to impact our children? He said it's now the Gen Alphas, actually born with, with some of them came out with pads in their house, you see. Yes. But while I was researching yesterday, I found out that a lot have been using the AI to gain knowledge, to enhance their knowledge about things around the world. But one aspect that he mentioned, about history, about Nigerian history. Yes, Nigerian history, but don't the Gen Alphas also need to know about world history?
Thank you. So I thank you.
Because the world is a global village.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Thank you for your effort, and also for the elaborate overview that you gave us. Truly, I was very curious about the modifications and changes, and also the submission that there was a wide range level of consultation. So this is where the problem starts. And I'm happy that we've met. Since I left the university, I've actually had much to do with the classroom. And I carry out training of teachers across Nigeria. And one of the complaints teachers make is that this curriculum that we have is often brought about with their knowledge. So for your information, and this is live on air, if at all anybody has assembled teachers for you, and that is the submission that it is, they did not do the wide kind of consultation that they ought to have done, because I do believe that a curriculum cannot be achieved, modification, revision, within the span of 2 years. Just before the exit of the former Minister of Education, here live on TV, I said to him, we cannot achieve a curriculum at the speed, curriculum revision, at the speed with which we had done it, For instance, now, this is September. My child's school, I have gone to collect all the books that my child is going to use in JSS 3 already. And then there is a new curriculum. So the question is that which of this curriculum is my son going to meet on Monday when he goes to school, since this is coming in at this moment in time. The other thing is, yes, the Nigerian history, I appreciate fully that we should actually do something about Nigerian history, and thank God that we've done it from the cradle. Because one of the problems is the kind of history we read in those days was Mango Park discovered the River Niger. Definitely we should have dealt with that by now, because there's no way Mango Park would have made it to the river without anybody guiding him. So if I guide you to a place, you can't discover what I took you to. So that is the kind of history I expect that when I read the book, they say the taste of a pudding is in the eating. When I eventually read the new curriculum document fully as it is, I would expect to see this kind of changes. Yeah, coming to you, talking about connecting to the global world. Yeah, most times we tend to know much more about the outside world than we do actually know about Nigeria. So that is a very big thing that we need to correct, that you come in from the inside outside, which is globalization, rather than being very knowledgeable global, and then you know next to nothing in your own environment. I've met people who are educated people, even professors at university, and when we meet and I tell them I'm Philip from Kaduna, they will they are wondering how come I am Philip from Kaduna. Can a Hausa person be Christian? And I'll be like, who told you that I was Hausa? Just by coming from Kaduna State does not automatically make me Hausa. Now, so these are the kind of knowledge system that we need to build into the educational subsector at the moment, particularly from the cradle. As you rightly said, wittingly, that because some students will not make it to become art students, so they won't have much to do with all this bulk of knowledge in terms of their daily learning. Though we have nationalism as a course, we used to have, I don't know what's happening now at the university, James 101. And then you get, but the time for which you have is just 1 credit. You cannot know Nigerian history at that speed. So my critique of the whole process is that it's a very good thing that we've done to review the curriculum, to modify it. But I do think that to a large extent, at the level that I have interacted with education in Nigeria in the past number of years, I can tell you, sir, I've never seen a draft of this curriculum. And I'm actually engaged in the training of teachers with on a project called Better Education Service Delivery for All, leading the training of 60,000 teachers in terms of the strategies to teach better. Now, and then I haven't come across this. So you can just imagine, and I live in Abuja, I have access to the internet, how much more of those teachers that we engage with who are actually in the interior. So most times we do, I would say what I have said many times is that we tend to be in a hurry to change names in Nigeria. I grew up to know NEPA. But people still refer to the power holding company today as NEPA because people are already used to the name. When Yaradua came, he said, no, it should be power holding company. There was no change, no improvement in the quality of power supply. So a change in name does not necessarily mean a transformation. So for me, I will not dismiss what has been done based on the very elaborate presentation that you've made here. But as I said, the taste of the pudding will be in the eating. When I engage with this document very well, and then look at, this is September, schools have reopened in some states already, and then we are getting a new curriculum, a revised curriculum, let's use the word correctly, then schools have already ordered for books ahead because, Mrs. Blankis, you don't order for books the next day. So what time would these books get to the schools? And then this session, definitely you order books for the entire session. So yes, NRDC is doing a very good job, but in Hausa we say if you are looking beautiful, you should bath the more. So I think that is just what we are saying, that we can do better by actually allowing a sort of cluster kind of referendum. So you have a cluster. In Adama, you should have a cluster as far as movie. Teachers who are willing to go should get there. and giving their own inputs. Then you come back maybe to Jamaica or Yola, you have another cluster. You go to Jada, you have a cluster. You go to Katsina, the same thing. Let the voices of these people who are working assiduously for us, because the teachers are doing a lot of work. We sit on the TV and talk. They are the real soldiers on ground, foot soldiers. So they tend to know the problems they face in the classroom than what we imagine we know. So the earlier we get to engage them robustly about any form of revision, the better the revision and the revised document is going to come out.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Philip Hayab. I can actually relate with the points you have made, because my kids have resumed on Monday with the books that they have been prescribed and they have bought and they have started schooling. So how we get to work out all of this, I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll get to shed more light in the course of this conversation. But let me get to Olusola Bankole. You are in the private sector. How are you adapting to this new reality in terms of your teaching staff and other resources that you need to, align?
All right, good morning again, and thank you so much. When this news came, of course, information has been seeping in a little bit since last session. Oh, there's going to be technical, TES, technical and entrepreneurial studies in the primary school. And some of us were like, we have not even done it well. For instance, the last NECO, on their platform, I raised an issue about, in my school, students take the painting and decoration. And we are made to go and buy frame. Buy. If it is not beautiful, they mark based on how beautiful it is. And it has to be bought. If the children make it, you don't get good marks. And so I raised an issue about that. That is by the side. One of the truth is, first of all, I want to commend NERDC. And I want to say that I'm glad that there is a platform that I connected with NERDC, and I get quick response. I'm glad about that. Through WhatsApp. I'm glad about that. I went to your website, and then I tried to connect use them through WhatsApp, and, I engaged them. But then the Ministry of Education also did a good job. The truth is, when the whole thing came, and it was officially announced, a few weeks ago, there was a lot of clamor. Why? What do we do? Textbooks and all that. And I am one, I feel that is not something to trouble ourselves about. First of all, it's a great effort that we must all commend. We've been clamoring for, let's rejig our curriculum. It is not meeting up with international best practice. In fact, some of us are also so concerned about the level of malpractice that is ongoing in the education sector, which is going to be dovetailing into much more corruption as they are growing. We are also concerned about, we want to build a good nation. All of us are saying, and when people talk about government, who are the government? All of us. Of course, those that decide to take power should be responsible, should be ready to answer for whatever's going on, and they shouldn't shy away. But the truth is, all of us are involved. And so, this review is fantastic, and we are grateful. One, the subjects are, reviewed. I mean, they are such that they are not too voluminous. I get worried when children transfer into my school, and they are coming with results showing 21 subjects, primary school. And I get, wow. The truth is, even, sir, the old curriculum doesn't have as much subjects. What many schools and even some government agencies, exam bodies, do is that they split all those, they use those themes as subjects. For instance, security education is not a subject. It's a theme under national values education. And I think one of the critical things to address this whole thing is understanding the essence of education. What are we to achieve? If the teachers, the parents, the education authorities, and all Nigerians understand that the essence of education is to equip and prepare the generations that are going to take reins of power, be behind the engineering equipment in the hospitals, be teaching our children in the different spheres of life. We are equipping them. We are preparing them. If that is actually at the back of our mind, we want to do the best for these children. The teachers, we want to teach well so that they understand. For instance, we still keep having challenges with mathematics. Why? I tell people, in fact, I hardly will employ a teacher who is afraid of maths, because I know you are going to bring that, your fear, into my students. Yes, that phobia into the students. And I don't want my students to be afraid of maths. I want them to see maths. By the way, I wasn't a science student, but I do not see any big deal about maths. Now we are beginning to see even primary school teachers insisting on subject teaching, because of also this plan of, you know, how the previous curriculum was being mishandled. And so, sir, as he rightly mentioned, I have not cited the curriculum. I don't even know what it looks like.
And you own a school?
I own a school. And you know, when he was talking about, Prof told us about the robust engagement. I'm wondering who those people were. I hope they are not professors in the universities. They don't understand what we are doing at the primary, secondary level. They don't. So it's better, and I think it's even better to engage more. And please, don't engage just one private schools associations alone. Engage, there are so many. There are the Islamic schools, there are the Christian schools, there are the APEN, there is, you know, like in FCT we have ASC and all that. Of course, we know you can't engage everybody, but if you can get, say, like 10 different ones, there is the AFED, who are in charge of the schools in the suburbs, local schools, there is the, you know, there is NAPS, but, you know, don't engage just one. Engage as many as possible. Let them bring, you know, people, they shouldn't bring those that will just come and talk. Or there are proprietors that don't even understand what's going on in the classroom, you know. But those ones who can actually come engage and tell us, these are the challenges we are having. But the truth is, some of us are so excited about this curriculum. But sincerely, we need to, let's even see what, yes, we understand, you know, we've been given the framework. And it started, in fact, at a point, there was conflict. Okay, nice subject. Okay, you will do TES, I mean, the trade subject from primary one. Some came and were showing notes, but eventually, we are going with what came out on, because I'm on your Facebook too. I tried, because I'm like, it's better we actually go to the source to get this thing. And we are also hoping that this curriculum will be readily available on any RDC platform, website for us to download. Yes, some of us will still need the hard copy, then we can buy. And, you know, we should be interested in the children. Yeah. What are we going to be giving them eventually? What will they, you know, grow to become? I want to believe that as we are going, it's not even only AI now. There is SI that is sipping in. Yes. Synthetic intelligence is sipping in a little. They just started. It's just coming in a bit. And we need to catch up. Nigerians are doing fantastically well across the globe. But it shouldn't be that in our own territory, in Nigeria here, that we are not able to give our children. For instance, there are researches that have been carried out in the recent past saying that even the children that are in school are not learning. That is because of the way, even the mindset of teachers. And that's why one of the key part of this review should be teacher training. It may be that for it to also be unified, you know, there are schools that are running whatever curriculum. You know, sometimes we seem to feel anything but Nigerian. And some of us are saying no. Nigeria is a great country, and like he mentioned, you know, I was thinking about that how can our history be telling us somebody came to discover the River Niger? He wasn't born there, so he doesn't even understand how it was.
That's
so,
why, we need to pursue it. That's why I keep telling, you know, when it comes to history, I keep telling people that when the colonizers came, they met an established system of government existing in Nigeria before they now took over. That's why maybe in the north we had indirect rule, and then the other part we had direct rule. And like you said, the key is Nigeria. The key issue is Nigeria, and our children matter. Thank you so much on that. I'll now bring in Dr. Clinton Epitibo. He's the General Secretary General NUT. He's joining us via Zoom from Port Harcourt. Thank you so much for joining us at this moment.
Thank you very much.
you've been
It's a
listening.
pleasure.
Yeah, you've been listening to the conversation in the studio from all our guests and the points they've raised, you know, and the last speaker said it's all about Nigeria and all about Nigerian children, teaching them what matters, what they need to know about their country. And it's all about training and retraining of teachers. So how will this curriculum shift affect workload one, classroom management, and teaching methods now? Because teachers have to learn everything all over again. And the secretary said, Dr. Sadisu said, is the Gen Alphas. I, for one, sometimes can't even understand them when they speak, you know. So how can teachers be able to learn to direct these children, you know, in a way that they will be able to learn effectively and it can impact them?
So, right. Okay. Thank you very much. In the first place, I speak for the Nigerian Union of Teachers as the body that is representing the interests and welfare of teachers, both at the primary and, of course, the secondary level. And so we're pleased to be part of this program. Let me say that Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, is totally in agreement with the changes that are taking place. We are expected to be part of the NERODC, and so we are not against the reviews, the ongoing reviews as far as the curriculum is concerned. But let me say that we are aware of the importance of curriculum because it is the totality of student experiences that occur in an educational process. And of course, it is the roadmap or the guideline given to any discipline. So, and the teachers are those that carry out these very important assignments in the school system. And so we cannot do without teachers when it comes to curriculum implementation. So we are very much part of it and we are very happy. But let me say that like some observations or concerns that have been made by the previous speakers, we agree totally with them. Because when we say that the curriculum, the new curriculum is child-centered, yes, we agree. Because every educational program is supposed to be child-centered. Because when we also were told that digital tools that are supposed to be worked upon, but in that regard, pupils, the curriculum is tended towards bringing about digital tools that the children will learn, not also the tools that the teachers who are expected to impart this knowledge, and of course, give these skills for the learners to acquire, for them to actually function very well and they become productive and responsible citizens in the country and the world over. The teachers that are there expected to carry out this, have they also been brought up to that level and also be equipped with those tools, own assignments optimally? These are the questions. Like one of these speakers observed, I think the need for the curriculum to be changed. We are in the global world now, community. We cannot separate ourselves from the world of today with its emerging challenges. We have been talking about climate change, artificial, intelligence, talking about so many other things like the technology and its emerging digital divide. So many issues are there, and it is always proper that we must also belong and join the queue at the global level to see that our own children are also brought to date to compete with any other child across the world. And so it is important. But the missing link that one will say here is that we need to do more to be carrying all stakeholders along when we are talking about issues like this. Yes, the NUT, the body representing teachers from the kindergarten to primary to secondary level, is expected to be part of the NERODC. Agreed. But how far and to what extent have we been actually carrying these teachers along? In a sister media also, NUT has made the point that sometimes we look at teachers as mere implementers of education policies, including this curriculum, rather than engaging them from the level of planning and development of these very policies. And so I think adequate consultation was not done to carry every critical stakeholder along. And look at it now. We sometimes participate in some of these programs, and where you hear about the resource persons. This one is professor in social university in America, professor in social place in Britain and the rest of that. What about those? Today we have teachers who are even the primary schools, but with master's degree. Teachers in the secondary schools with PhD and the rest of that.
Challenges with hearing what Dr. Itibo is saying, but it's made quite some points. So let me get back to the ES. Having listened to the other guests, one theme that runs through all the comments is lack of, adequate consultation, which they have talked about, and some have also talked about awareness. They can't even lay their hands on the curriculum. Well, I don't want to even talk about the media. We don't have it either. So how do you react to these issues? Does this give you a reason to want to say, okay, let's take it more slowly, let's take it gradually, and bed it in, in bits?
Yeah, thank you so much. In fact, I have been itching to speak.
Yeah.
The importance of this kind of discussion and conversation is that issues are raised and are responded to. Let me begin with one thing that concerns the teachers and also the parents. I believe parents that are listening to us may be more interested in that aspect, like you rightly said about yourself. This is about the implementation. Dr. Philip was talking about buying textbooks for his children, for all the classes and all that. I think in the latest release we've made it clear that this implementation is going to be based on the 3-year learning cycles. 1 to 3, primary 1 to 3, primary 4 to 6, JSS 1 to 3, SS1 to 3. So the implementation this year is only going to be on primary 1 as the first learning cycle, not affecting primaries 2 and 3.
Okay.
And then primary 4, not as the beginning of the second 3-year learning cycle, not affecting primaries 4 and 5. And JSS 1 and SS1, as the case may be. So parents, for the purpose of this new curriculum, would only be, expected to buy textbooks for the purpose of this new curriculum for only the first year. But textbooks that have been bought for primary 2 and 3 by parents, they will still be applicable because 2 and 3 will use the old curriculum. This new curriculum will be enforced in full-blown after the 3rd year. I think this explanation is very essential, and we made it clear. And I want to say that we're going to release what we call implementation strategy of the curriculum. And I want to assure you that after this session, I believe today, this implementation strategy is going to be on our website. Good. Now, when you look at the implementation strategy, interestingly, it will answer all the questions you raise. Now, going back to the very fundamental one, and that is about engagement, and most importantly, engagement of the teachers. I'm glad that all the speakers were more interested about engaging the teachers, because the teachers are the pivotal point of the educational practice or educational enterprise. Like it is stated in our National Policy on Education, no education system can rise above the quality of its teachers. So we have every reason to be concerned about the teachers. But I must say that the teachers and all other stakeholders, engagement with them should be seen, should be understood to be in two dimensions. There is the pre-development stage, that is preparatory to the development of the curriculum. You engage all stakeholders, and after the overall development of the curriculum, you still continue to engage with the stakeholders, especially the teachers. Now, for the pre-development, you engage with the teachers for two important reasons. The teachers will tell you what the interests of the learners are, because they interact with the learners. And the interests of the learners needs to be integrated, in fact, should primarily and essentially be integrated into the curriculum. And then the teachers will also tell you about their experiences in imparting the curriculum, issues about, the subject content, what is relevant and what not, and all that. So these were done before the development of the curriculum. Not only the teachers, like I said, state commissioners for education, SUBEB chairman, parent teachers association, and so on and so forth. Nigeria is such a big country that you cannot say that you involve everybody and everybody would need to know what is going on. But at least you have taken care of that interest in a way. Now, at the level of the post-release of the curriculum, we're going to roll out this implementation strategy. It's going to be a robust one. And the most important component of it is about teacher engagement. And teacher engagement here means a lot. In the first instance, it is about teacher training and retraining and capacity building. We're talking about Gen Alphas. These are the children, but perhaps the teachers are BBCs or born before computers or whatever, isn't it? Now you need to orient them, to get to know, to be in tune and to be, very conversant and well acquainted with these technologies and all that. Now, we appreciate the fact that this teacher training should not be just one shot. It is supposed to be a continuous process. So we are not oblivious of the fact that we need to engage the teachers and train them, at different levels and in different times. But for the purpose of this implementation, working with UBEC, we have, drafted a proposal, and UBEC is going to fund it, because UBEC has the teachers, UBEC has the students. We just produce the curriculum. But because we produce the curriculum, we are primary stakeholders in the training of the teachers. Are you following? Yes. But UBEC is also a primary stakeholder because it has the teachers, and in a way, it gives the funding. Yeah. So we're going to work out with UBEC to embark on nationwide teacher training at different levels in different ways. Training of the trainers, and sometimes direct interaction with the teachers, as the case may be, in different clusters and in different ways nationwide. I assure you we're going to embark on this very soon. On the question of not seeing the curriculum, at the beginning of this conversation, I stated that because of the new, of the latest observations, we're injecting some modification, and we didn't want to rush it. We're working on it, and I want to tell you that in the next few days, we're going to, upload the entire curriculum on our website, and stakeholders can access it. We're not just going to, release the soft copy. of the curriculum, but of course, including printing of hard copies. So the teachers in remote places where network may not necessarily reach them, they can have access to the hard copies of the curriculum. And part of the stakeholder engagements is about engaging with publishers through their different organizations, Nigerian Publishers Association, as the case may be, because they need to know what the curriculum entails, so that they need to know the kind of books they publish. And authors also, they need to know. But one other interesting question about this teacher engagement, raised by almost all of you, is what kind of teachers do you've raised concerns about whether we're only engaging professors in the university. Yes, we engage professors in the university, but it is not only the professors in the universities that we engage. We engage lecturers at different levels. University lecturers, polytechnic lecturers, College of Education lecturers, and teachers even at the secondary school and primary school levels. When you get the attendance of the resource persons that we engage in our curriculum development workshops, you will see that, you see a range of all these categories of teachers across all the levels of education. You need to get the professors, because whatever the case may be, even if they are not in touch with the children at the grassroots level, that they produce the teachers that go to teach the children. And then also the College of Education teachers, as you know, and so on and so forth. So we do engage professors that are subject specialists and other lecturers at other colleges and institutions. And then we also engage professors that are specialists in education, specialists in curriculum and instruction, specialists in guidance and counseling, specialists in psychology and education administration, and all the different specializations in education. I mean, so it's a very robust kind of thing. Thank you so much.
I need to. Somebody asked me a question yesterday when I said we were going to discuss this topic. He said, "Why don't you bring back the Women Teachers College, the Arabic Teachers College? Yes, so that you start. The Gen Alphas will be part of that." Actually, if we really want to have an educational system that will be sustained and the foundation itself will be retained, why don't you bring, instead of the colleges of education, why don't you bring it from the secondary school level itself, bring back students that learn to teach the students when they go to higher education?
Yeah, of course, it is not any RGC that may answer this question. It will be the Federal Ministry of Education. Yes. But I want to say that what has passed has passed.
Okay.
And I think we should just brush aside the issue of bringing, teachers' colleges, because in the NCE training, there is a component of primary education studies that takes care of all the things that are being done in the teachers' colleges. So I think when you say, let's bring back the teachers' colleges, it's as good as saying, okay, let's go back to the seven-year primary school and 4-year, degree and all that. Now, we have gone even beyond with this transformative, strategies or agenda of this government.
All right.
We have gone beyond that. We are now even phasing out the 6-3-3-4. It is now, 12-4, isn't it? Yeah. So
all right. Let's take some feedback from our viewers. And I'll begin with this one, which reads, the new curriculum has a lot to do with our children. On this development, I say kudos to the federal government. But my pain is, how prepared is the government? Well, no name. And this other one also no name. Good morning, panel members. Okay, Abbas Abubakar, yeah.
From Jalingo, Taraba State.
The development of the new curriculum is a welcome step. It shows progress and aligns our education system with global trends like technology, innovation, and skill development. However, my question is, do we really have adequate resources, both human and material, to effectively implement these new subjects in schools across the country? Okay, from Dr. Nasir Bello in Gombe. Thanks to NERDC for protecting future workforce from encountering the demand of yesterday, that is old curriculum. kudos to Prof for this revolution. And from Aminu Aliu from Bauchi, currently residing in Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. That's a wonderful program. The new basic curriculum for basic and secondary education is timely. But I'd like to suggest two things. First, let's have a Ministry of Foundational Education dedicated to primary and secondary schools. Second, make vocational skills compulsory in secondary schools. Not every student will make it to the university, but every student should leave school with a skill to stand on, whether it's agriculture, like poultry, cattle, or fishery, tech repairs, like handsets or solar panels, or marketing and entrepreneurship. This way, those who don't go further academically can still be self-reliant, and who knows, they could be the next Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, or Tedola, or Dangote. Juma, I think you should take the rest.
Yes, and he said university is not only the path to success. What matters is giving your young people the tools to create, survive, and thrive. And Abdulkadir Adebayo Ozimi Jimo from Okene said, the changes in Nigeria's educational system are concerning, especially since teachers weren't involved in the process. This could lead to implementation challenges and negatively impact students. Prioritizing teacher training and support is crucial for the success of these reforms. And Mr. Philip, no name this one, he said, good morning, Nigeria. Mr. Philip has said my mind. And to add my own view, many schools will use this to make more money because these materials will be provided for them by the school. And Ibn Jibrin from GGSS Kuje Abuja said, NERDC and the Prof. Shehu Salisu have done wonderfully well in this review, which must be done every 5 to 6 years to reflect on our needs and interests. However, please, Mr. Jummai, help me ask the ES, when are they likely to deploy the curriculum to schools to begin with this academic session? Time is not on the side of the sector on this delay. Good morning and thank you. And Ofulue Igbodo from Asaba said, the new academic curriculum, as it were, is in tandem with the yearnings of the revolution required to match our academic standards with the contemporary world of today. But in the quest to create competitiveness and sustainability, the underbelly is associated with its implementation, especially the students of teachers, the quality of textbooks, availability of libraries. Laboratories have to be given high attention if Nigeria's academic woes have to be challenged or defeated. Binta Abdullahi from Abuja said, my question is, why is there no religion studies for senior secondary schools? With what is happening now, insecurity, drugs, etc., don't you think extending religious studies to senior secondary school would have directly or indirectly helped reduce the menace drastically? And she said, before now we have 6334 system of education. What do we have as 934 as we have in Benue? Is secondary education going to be 3 years only? Dr. Philip, can you respond to some of the things before we go to...
Well, I think like most people have commented,
yes.
From the explanation that Professor has given, it's obvious that so much work has been done. We're looking forward to actually studying this document to see what we make out of it. As a literary student, we say that criticism is a whetstone. Without criticism, society does not actually move. So we are talking so that we can do better. I would say that we need to prioritize teacher training. So teacher training is where the problem is. In my interactions with so many teachers in Nigeria, I can tell you that the teacher quality is terribly poor. Yeah, across Nigeria, and it doesn't matter where the state is. So, and one of the reasons is that the best do not get to go to teacher training institutions any longer. It's people who don't get to make it. Some. There are a few that maybe would intend to go to teacher training colleges, but there are very few. So until we do something about the teacher in this country, we might have all the revisions of curriculum, but the person who implements the curriculum might not be ready to do it.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hayab. We'll pause here for a break so that when we return, we take some other responses to the messages, and the conversation continues. Please don't go away.
By the special grace of God, I will be turning 65 years old on the 21st September 2025. And this happens to be a Sunday. This is...
You're welcome back, and you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. We've been talking about the revised curriculum for primary, second, and secondary schools in Nigeria, and our guests have been bringing out some interesting angles to the conversation. Before we go to our guests now, let me take some of the messages that came in, and Judith, what's his name? Joshua Obasanya from Life Camp said, the recent endeavors of Professor Salisu and his colleagues in developing a new curriculum for basic and secondary schools stand as a testament to their commitment. However, my concern lies in the approach taken toward the implementation of this curriculum. The rollout has been hampered by poor planning and the lack of timely engagement. Ideally, meaningful engagement and preparatory measures for the implementation should have commenced about a year ago, ensuring that educators and stakeholders were adequately equipped and informed to bring these reforms to life. Addressing this gap is essential if the full potential of Professor Salisu and his colleagues' work is to be realized. And Taiwo from Akure said, good morning, everyone. The review is a welcome development and long overdue. Thank God it is coming at this critical period in the life of the country. Regarding the introduction of the new curriculum, in my opinion, it could have been limited to the entry points of Primary 1, GSS 1, and SS 1 in secondary. He mentioned it earlier. The teachers will have to be trained and new textbooks must be procured. Local schools are lacking in many aspects, such as libraries, laboratories, including ICT labs, and also of importance the welfare of teachers who implement the policy. Fashiro Taiwo wrote in from Akure. And Judith Okoro from Suka said, good morning and well done. Please, what is in place for children with special educational needs? That's very important. And yes, she also said, again, talking about the quality of teachers, I think once the remuneration is upwardly reviewed, you attract the best minds. I'm a trained teacher and speak from years of experience. Victor?
All right, let me take this one without a name, though.
No,
about teacher development and training. Most teachers at the grassroots and local level, especially in Abuja, here where I teach, do not benefit. They only pick teachers teaching in urban centers like Garki, Meitama, Wuse, Gwarimpa, and one or two from the local areas, which need those trainings more due to openness and exposure to modern teaching strategies and tools. May the stakeholders consider the plight of teachers in the interior zones of this country. And finally, it says, laptops, palm tops, and computer systems can be deployed as well for our teachers for self-improvement and motivation. Okay, from Nwefuru Hyacinth, good morning, discussants. For the curriculum review to be effective and efficient in the life of Nigerians, suitable and enough teachers for the implementation will have to and can only be raised through free education for education course students in the tertiary institutions. Former President Shehu Shagari has done so for UPE. Besides, teachers' colleges have to be restored and made free for teachers' grade 2 certificate.
And Dr. Joseph Subiru said, I think the music content of the new curriculum looks very light and poorly put together. It is not rich in content and not practical in outlook. It needs to be reviewed.
All right. I would like to suggest, based on the implementation, which is what we all agree that is the where the issue is. Like for those even in the primary 1, primary 4, GS1 and SS1, books have been bought. But my view to it, and what I've been engaging a number of school leaders, teachers on is, can we look at the fact that the framework is something we can build in, even with the textbooks we already have. Yes. Because it's not as if it's... So if we can get the framework and the content you promise to upload on your platform, schools abroad, they're not so much about textbooks, because the teachers are professionals. They are not just about, get into the class and talk. They are facilitators in the class. And there are so many things available. I want to quickly mention that a lot of people talk about teachers or schools or children in the rural areas. We have agreed that this is focused on the Gen Alphas. The truth is, if they have the opportunities, they will excel. So we should stop limiting them like, oh, they are dullards in those places. If we give them the opportunity, if the teachers engage them, even without so much tools, but we are advocating that, why don't we even build our education system such that facilities are available everywhere and everywhere? We may not be able to get all of that, but we should, where there is a will, people say there is a way. If we all understand the essence of education, what we want to achieve when we are in the classroom teaching children, whatever opportunities that is available, even if it is a teacher's phone that it gives to the children, we can start from there. And before we know it, opportunities begin to come. Maybe, donors internationally may begin to donate some, laptops. There are schools abroad that have laptops available that they donate, if you need it, because they have used it. Chromebooks are all over the place. They even come cheaper than the regular laptops. And they are even safer because, they don't allow them to download all sorts of things on their laptops and all that. We can also engage little by little. If there can be 10 in every school, even in the rural areas, I'm talking for public schools now, the little that is available and the mindset of the teachers, the parents, the school leaders, and the children, that we are preparing these children for the purpose of building this nation. And we really need to build Nigeria because, we are all complaining of so many issues. And education can help to build a vibrant and effective nation where things are working. So if we understand this, whatever we have at hand, understanding the component that the revised curriculum is bringing in can help us to still achieve it, even with the current textbooks we have. That's my view. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam. We thank you. Now, let me get back to the ES. 10 years from now, let's assume we get this going, we implement it effectively. What should Nigerians expect to see?
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe before I answer that question, a number of let me appreciate generally all the comments that have been dropped. They've been quite encouraging, and they've been also very kind. They are more of recommendation and suggestions on improvement, not necessarily criticisms. I don't see them like that, and I've taken note of all of them. And I believe you will share some of these things with us, so that
Yes.
I would be glad if we can have it.
Yes.
But maybe something directly related to the question you asked from the comments was somebody asking about, trade subjects or vocational skills, as the case may be. That I would want to say that these have, been well taken care of in the curriculum. We are introducing basic science and technology at the primary level, and then digital technologies, and then at the seniors, at the post-basic, JSS level, there's 4 to 6, that is pre-vocational skills, and there are vocational subjects at the JSS level, and then there are the trade subjects at the senior secondary school levels. And let me tell you that earlier, we developed curriculum for about 34 different trade subjects. 34. And then some of the suggestions what I was saying of the few observations that were forwarded before we released the curriculum was about the hugeness of the number of the trade subjects. And therefore, working with the Federal Ministry of Education, who are, oversighting us primarily, and of course, most essentially, the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tinja Alausa, and the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Said Ahmed, You know, they just introduced the TVET, the new TVET policy. And they undertook a survey of what are the most popular traits that our children are more interested in. And incidentally, when we were about to develop the 34 trait subject curriculums, we also took a national survey. And then it will interest you to know that the outcome of what we got about the topmost, areas that are of interest, tally with what their survey recently came out. So on the basis of evidence-based survey, now these have been streamlined to only 6 trait subjects. Now schools will offer only 6. And a school is supposed to pick only one for which it can get teachers, but up to a maximum of 3 even out of the 6. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now, these 6 are this solar installation something. It comes on top. Then livestock farming comes next. Then the issue of digital, GSM repairs and all this comes also. And then there is the issue of fashion design and garment making. Children and the teenage, are you following, about fashion and all that. So fashion design and garment making and cosmetology also came. And then there is horticulture and crop production. These 6 came on top of all the surveys that were undertaken, and therefore we have adopted these 6 and approved them as the trait subject that will be offered by all schools. Now, with this, we are sure that our children will surely learn some form of life skills that will make them self-employable after they pass out of school. And therefore, we're expected in the next 10 years, and I must tell you, somebody asked about religious studies. I must tell you that while we've been talking about digital technology and all this, AI and that, we're not oblivious of the fact that we need to also develop the affective domain of our children. And then we also need to develop our values that we hold dear as a nation in our own country and our own religious values. That is why these religious studies have been made compulsory from primary 1 to JSS 3. At the senior secondary school levels, these religious studies are also still there in the humanities. Are you following? Yes. Now, therefore, the component of soft skills, teaching children about the need to be empathic and sympathetic, they need to be tolerant. Are you following? They need to be clement, they need to be generous, they need to be kind, and all these kind of things are all not left out. Okay. So in the next 10 years, and I want to assure you that perhaps, based on the way the world is going, change in the world today is speedy, unprecedentedly speedy than more than any time before. And change is simultaneous. Change in one sector doesn't wait for change in another sector to take effect. Now, let me land. So on the basis of this, I don't expect that in the next 10 years we will not undertake a review of the curriculum as it happened. Perhaps in the next 3 years, because of the exigencies of our time, we may be forced or be compelled to undertake another review. But be that as it may, we expect that in the next 10 years, we produce children, a generation of students that are patriotic, that are committed to national development, that are tolerant, because we need to work seriously towards national integration.
And we'll be teachers.
And would be teachers also, expectedly.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Dr. Hayab,
yes.
What, in your opinion, what would be the long-term social and economic impact of this curriculum reform now?
Prof has spoken so well, and I commend you for your effort and your team. The last key point you actually mentioned stood out for me. Okay. I worked with a professor from Oxford recently, and he was trying to talk about the domains of learning, not in the way we talk about it. And he said learning by the head, learning by the hand, and then learning by the heart. Those words stood out for me in all my interactions with him, because we keep talking about cognitive is a word that people do not understand. You say psychomotor, we've not gotten there. You say, he brought them down to the level that anybody would understand. And once we can have this affective domain working in the minds of our children, everybody will be empathetic to the other person. And once Nigerians can reduce their level of selfishness, I think to a large extent, in the next 10 years, we should be competing with the world in a very robust situation.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hayab. Let's get to Olushola Bankole quickly. What's your interaction with parents in your school, for instance, on this revised curriculum? What are the concerns, for instance, that they are raising? Perhaps you'd like to end on that note.
In 1 minute, I don't want to use my school as an example, because the truth is, what this curriculum, yes, in the private sector, okay, but this curriculum for some of us, like in my school, is like what we've been doing. What has been the normal thing we do. And a lot of private schools also have been doing that, you know, trying to ensure that it's about mastery more than, you know, I do say we should emphasize sabification above certification. I think I'll just leave it at that.
And the country will move forward on
sabification. We sabid it something.
I like that word. I like that word. Let's have
take the final word.
Your final words, Prof.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, please.
Yeah. First of all, I thank you for this opportunity. It has given us an opportunity to tell the Nigerians and the world more about what we had. What we have, coming out of the curriculum. And I want to request Nigerians to be much more patient and understanding with us. We have a very excellent stuff in stock, and we're going to release it very soon. And whatever that has been said about lateness and all that, we're trying to, make sure that we tidy up our things, so that when we come out in a better way. In any case, whatever we may be late about, I think it is better late
than never. Okay, on that note, Professor Sabitu Shehu, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Education Research and Development Council, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
For enlightening us on the new curriculum.
Thank you
and
so
I'm
much.
sure everyone watching has learned one thing or the other. Thank you so much. Dr. Philip Hayab, educationist, we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Mrs. Olushola Bankole, Director of the Bankers Primary School, Abuja. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Dr. Clinton Ibitibo, Secretary General NUT, he joined us via Zoom from Port Harcourt. Unfortunately, we had a problem with the Zoom network and he went off. We also thank him for his contribution.
I hope that this curriculum will help us develop children who will develop easier ways of connecting, so that from wherever Dr. Ibitibo will be able to join us without hitches.
And Jobs, yes. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Jumbo Yourself.
And I am Victor Azu. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
The mosaic of time in the kaleidoscope of life. Time is a masterpiece. A delicate piece when we wait. A vibrant shard when we're late. A dark fragment when we're sad. A radiant tile when we're happy. An intricate pattern when we're in pain.